think we should be live now, but I'll just wait for it to come up on Facebook and then I can turn it down. Oops. I'll just wait for the there we go. Wait for alrighty. Welcome to Love Speaks Love, everybody, and especially welcome to you, Kandice.
Thank you.
Oh, it's lovely to be here with you. It's been a while. Like I can't remember when we last spoke.
It's been a minute.
A big minute. And sometimes it feels it's like, you know, two people going on the journeys, and sometimes they're like this and they're kind of like going in the same direction, but they're not coming together. And other times it's like, oh, almost, not quite. And then other times it's together and there's like a beautiful weave, and then it kind of like, you know, often just goes
like the
apart.
DNA. Like the DNA strands. Yeah. DNA strands and the lattices in between the gaps. It's like it looks like ladders that are twisted, which is interesting because I keep seeing roots and shoots and getting the messages of shoots and ladders, snakes and ladders, and this huge interweaving that we're all doing. And I saw a lot of people at one point come together and converge in this concentration of energy and sharing, and then all of a sudden it was like the scatter happened, and it somehow scattered everyone. And it was like, okay, we've taken all of our energy and our collaborative sharings, and now everyone's gonna integrate and work with it in their own spaces. And then it's like this weaving back together with what we've all done. So that's kind of the minute. What happened in the minute. That was more like 6 months.
Yeah, I've no idea. It could be a year, it could be 6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Can't do time at the moment. I'm just bear with me. I'm just sharing it to Solargy. If anybody wishes to share it to any groups that you think might be open to this conversation, then thank you. One more to share it to. There we go. Okay, so while people are gathering, I think it would be nice to bring our hearts together in the Love Speaks Love fashion. So, bringing our awareness to our heart space and feeling an immediate heart-to-heart connect between you and I, Kandice. And let us breathe love into our beautiful hearts. Feeling our hearts expand as we do that. Feeling the love that we're breathing in, moving into every cell of our bodies. Relaxing and lightening all of our cells, all of our DNAs, which is a lot of cells. And feeling my body just topping itself up with love. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia. Connecting in with the New Earth templates and with Gaia's beautiful crystalline diamond heart. And as we're held within the love from Gaia, Mother Earth, feeling her love moving into every cell of our bodies, feeling her love and her gratitude for all that we are, all that we do. And just feeling my body just like it's being wrapped in a blanket of love. And extending that heart awareness out to the heart of the sun. Feeling that beautiful solar energy, the love from the sun, those solar codes, ever present in our bodies. And feeling that heart connection to the heart of Source Creator. And feeling all of our hearts together as one in one unified field of love. That's all of our hearts, everybody watching, who's present with us in this now moment, or in a future now moment, watching the replay or on YouTube. Anything you want to add, Kandice?
Oh, that feels beautiful.
So with our awareness still in our heart space, if your eyes are closed, opening them whenever you're ready. And just still feeling that beautiful presence of love in and around me.
Thank you.
So welcome back to Love Speaks Love. I think you've guested twice before.
I think so.
So 2021. Just a doddle.
What
Nothing,
a year.
nothing to write home about. Just a regular,
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Ooh, the beginning of that of 2021 was definitely not the same as the last half for myself. That last half, even in the middle, August, September, October, November, really stand out as a really strange experience for myself. It was almost like walking on a clear path, and then all of a sudden it was extremely foggy, and the fog was sticky. Mm-hmm. and the fog created a lot of confusion and disorientation. So it's really wild. Like the word dichotomy keeps coming to mind. There's such a dichotomy of energies, and real strange experience of confusion for me. And I feel like I follow the energetic trends like really deeply in my body as almost like a litmus paper for what's going on. And I feel like I sort of follow it experientially and almost like a canary. Like I'll pick it up. I'm so sensitive. Like I'll just be saturated, and then be working with it and sharing messages in my own way, like my own little forecasting system. But then during that time, it was like I was absorbing all of this all of these really confusing signals, which took me into a lot of journeying and a lot of experiences that I wouldn't have necessarily signed up for the class of. I wouldn't have been like, yeah, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. That looks beneficial. No, I would have been like, that's not where I want to go. But because of what the collective of humanity had chosen to go through, it sort of felt like because of that choice and because of how I function, and I'm tethered in a sense to holding compassion for the choices of humanity and understanding, there is something within that choice and within the scenarios playing out that I couldn't hold compassion for. I was really struggling, and which is what sent me into having to really be confronted with a lot of the content and the challenges that humanity was going up against or creating, so that I could help digest it. And it took me a really long time to digest what I was seeing, having acceptance for everybody's choices, and really understanding that there's a gift in all things. Like everything that I preach, I had to go and practice in a really, really challenging context. And the way that I do it is I throw myself in. Like I kind of become obsessive with my focus. If there's something that I can't forgive, or I can't, like, I'm just going to throw myself in. And that happened to be looking into politics, which is hilarious. Like, it's just hilarious that I spent so much time looking into the political arena and the scientific arena. Like, I had to really go and create like a little course for myself, unbeknownst to myself, in what I was focusing on, to make sense of it deeply and see a way through and find a way through. There was times where I had lost hope. There was times where I had tremendous doubt. There was times where I had the most anxiety in my body that I think I've ever felt. Like, I remember as a young teenager, I used to have anxiety because I was absorbing everything from my surroundings. And sure enough, I had set myself right back up into that same thing, which allowed me to go and look back in my teenage years and go, oh, that's why you were so sick. That's why, like, you were absorbing and you weren't digesting, or, So I was sort of doing that again, but then it was such a powerful experience of that, going through it with all of the tools and awareness that I had garnered, and then use it and apply it to all of the voices that were projecting out, that got really loud. And it was almost like having this, oh my goodness. I draw comparisons to the experience that I had and the 40 days and the 40 nights of Jesus going into the wilderness and being tempted. And it was like every voice. And it's like I got to see situations that I thought were impossible for humanity to get out of. And then just really diving into the depths of that despair, and then lo and behold, still having the light at the depths of the despair. And it's like, no matter how far I let myself fall, there was like this little like laughter, like this little like hee, like, I'm still here supporting you. I'm still here as love, holding love for you, as you, in you. Like, have you seen enough yet? And it was like, no, I haven't. I'm gonna go deeper. So I really took the well as far as I could manage it. And which led me to eventually becoming ill, quite ill. the big
Come on.
catalyst. Yeah.
Because I saw a real fire, like what you've been speaking of so far.
Yeah.
I saw your like your warrior, your Amazonite, like
Oh yeah.
that
I'm
mama
going in.
bear.
I'm going
Ah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. And and rightfully so, because this this big experience that the human collective has decided to create that will literally drum up everything, it's an opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for so many things. And to be able to see it as such, and so that big scenario touches all of us, even if we don't want it to touch us. It touches all of us vicariously through each other, indirectly through all of our loved ones. Like it's just a voice or a message or a something within, like, in everybody's head. Like it's just this message or this voice or this something. Like I call it the catalyst that's infiltrated into every space and place. And it's not like I could deny it. I wanted to be like, no, I don't want to look at you. You'll just go away. If I pretend you aren't here, like you'll just go away. But then sure enough, like inch by inch, that scenario, that drama, that whatever, that this creation crept its way into my life through all of my loved ones in so many different ways. Like I got put in really challenging positions that I was like, oh, how do I speak reason into this, into people that have been so they're just so in it. And like, how do I safeguard with my children who are going to school? And like, um my one child was getting yelled at by people outside for not having a mask on outside. So it's just like, yeah, it just created so many opportunities in all the relations of my life. So it really consumed a lot of my focus, my energy, my attention for quite a big chunk. And then there was a moment where I was sitting washing dishes at the counter, and this epiphany came through me where I just realized what a gift it was. And it brought me to tears. And I just, a lot of stuff comes when I'm washing the dishes. And I finally had made a little bit of space so that I could just see what a tremendous mirror this was. Obsidian mirror, like it wasn't showing everybody all of the light in the reflection. It was showing all of the grime, or whatever you want to call it, and in the grime is all the nutrients and the fertilizer and all the like like it's not bad. It's just it's actually somehow bringing balance with imbalance and showing where there was imbalance. And it's like brought so many elephants in the room. It's like there isn't just one. This is the gift that keeps on giving. And I can't say that lightly, because it's also been a really traumatizing
Mm.
in so many ways, which brings up, my Lord, like it just brings up so much awareness to all of the systems in our reality and who falls through the cracks and who is essential and who is not. And who is not. It's like all things are essential. We realize like our network is essential. So there's a lot to unpack, and just, sorry. So much energy. I could see myself going in another direction, and then reminding, like, wait, you didn't speak about actually being ill, and how much that, and what that was, and what a catalyst that was, and an experience, and the qualities of my own experience, I guess, embodying that illness for 15 to 25 days, I want to say. I took it in pretty deep, and for my own self, it was quite a struggle for my body and energy field and everything to move through that. And it almost felt like a psychedelic experience. Like, I'm not sure if you experienced it. Did you experience it?
No.
So there's like a very hallucinatory, like, a lot of people hallucinate, and it's almost like having like an out of body experience. And I really felt it in my pineal gland. I felt like some really strange stuff going on in my pineal gland. And I'm an extremely visionary person. Like, I can see like everything. So the fact that that was really being monkeyed around with, like, it was really strange to have that. It was almost like when your nose get plugged, it felt like my third eye, like my pineal gland was plugged. And that took some time to correct itself. But I felt connected to so many beings through being sick. It's almost like I don't even really know how to say this. I'm still learning this as I'm going, like, I'm still like, there's still so many revelations that are happening. So even as I'm speaking, I'm kind of like, wait, what? Oh, it's just kind of like,
when you say connected to so many beings, do you mean like other human beings that were going through it, or?
Yeah. It's like I can feel the blockchain technology that it is. It's almost like cryptocurrency. Like, it's so strange. It's like this thing that's moved through so many beings that contains all of the content of where it's been. And like water does that. Like, the water that we're drinking comes from and contains. So it's like experiencing like that showed me just how interconnected and entangled everything is. And I don't say entangled in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, it's interconnected, like, just so much so that it's like this new awareness that's happening, that's being born, is just really just seeing how connected it is. And it's like, I can't do one thing without it affecting something, even in a great distance. And that's kind of also how I feel like I got pulled in to, needing to digest everything that I felt like I needed to do it in my own way, in the way that I had to experience it, which gave me a lot of even more empathy for people who really like need to, like, to someone it might look like a hot mess, like but it's almost like more, I want to say, like, more sacred than that. Like, I don't know, like, I have, like, it's really, yeah, I just really feel like I have way more empathy and appreciation for just the magnitude of challenge and stickiness, and I'm almost seeing like this, like a bug that's flying, like woohoo, like love and life, and then just goes into like the spider web and is stuck. And then like the spider just like spins it all up, like, and it's kind of like you feel bad for the bug, but you also know that the spider has to nourish itself. And you're like, wow, the circle of life is incredible. Like the bug becomes the spider as the spider eats the bug, and then the bird comes along and eats the spider, and then I don't know, somehow the body of the bird's going to decompose into the ground and then give life to the next larva of bugs that are going to be flies again. Like it's just
I love what you said about the bringing in the quantum entanglement as well. I've been watching quite a few Nassim Harriman, and you know that's his language of how we're all connected. It's the quantum entanglement, and it's weave. You know, quantum weaving. Let's say entangled just sounds like it's all knotted up and
I know, right?
and all yeah. But it does show us on a different level how we're all weaved together, how we are
So woven.
we can't separate ourselves from each other. And I find that really interesting that your energy would have gone into the collective, and on some level they would have been feeling you going through that too, even if it wasn't conscious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like I needed to, and that it really helped me break through any judgment about it, about the whole thing, because it's a perfect, multifaceted, catalytic creation that has so many opportunities to show so many things that are needed in our world to be recreated, that aren't serving us anymore. So it's just like this massive choice point after choice point after choice point for all of us over and over and over again. And
true compassion too. There was an experience that I had when I was in Glastonbury last time, and I'd been in a building where there was a lot of people, and I've been very much on my own. That was the most people that I'd had in my space for a long time. And I really got why people would get into a space of fear, would get into that space of anxiety. And after I left, I had these moments when I got back to Chalice Well, where I was staying. I had this massive hot flush, and I felt like my throat was getting sore. And I did what I think most of us have done at some stage and gone, ah, have I caught the bug? And I could feel myself getting into this fear space. And I also saw that there was so much space in between fear and love. There's so many, like, I can't quite get the word, but there's so many spaces between that not everyone doing particular things is necessarily in a space of fear. They may be coming at it from a different place. And it really helped me to see, and maybe it was because I've spent time with a lot more people and just been in that collective space too. Maybe I was just picking up a lot more, but it put me much more in a place of compassion. And there's been so much judgment about fear and about anxiety. I think, I mean, it's a natural thing going through what we've all kind of gone through on whatever level that is. It's been a really big couple of years. And it's not surprising that we dip our toes into the fear and the anxiety from time to time. Like
this experience that I had, I think it was the allowing myself to really get a huge taste of the fear and anxiety. I think I let myself simmer in that for about 2 to 3 weeks, which is a long time.
Yeah.
That's a really long time for myself. And it was almost like reverse medicine, because like part of me, it's so strange. It's like I've never been like, language and words just don't cover it, and I don't really like to say I've never. But I'm not one to have really feared about death.
Yeah.
I've always felt like it's almost, I don't want to say exciting, but like, yeah, it's just I've always thought of death ever since I was younger. I've constantly thought of transitioning and like the process, and like I felt like I had to make peace with it, or I don't know how to explain it. So that wasn't what my fear was. So it was funny. It was like I was asking myself, what is your fear? What is your fear? And it was literally like fear itself. Like it didn't have a reason, because my inner voice was walking me through, and yet the feeling was so gripping. It was terror itself. It was like I was literally facing terror that was not rational within my own self. And I kept meeting it, and I was like, what is this terror that's terrorizing my body, my experience? And then that created the anxiety, this anxious feeling of impending doom, like something was going to come around the corner. And so that was like this really sticky, challenging energy that I had to reconcile within myself.
How did you
And
walk through that?
it's reminding me of my labor with my daughter, and how my inner voice was like, go into the pain, and you'll realize it's just energy. Like once you merge with it completely, you'll realize it's just energy. And then somehow it dissipates, or then somehow it's not as. So somehow I was trying to merge with Tara, and I will not recommend this for anybody. I would not recommend anyone seeks this out. I was literally being guided by my own inner guidance system. And because of the work that I did prior to this, I felt like I could do this. And so this is, I guess kind of like a strange spirit walk that I was kind of going through in my own reality. So it was almost like I wanted to, I knew it couldn't kill me. So I like went to the very edge of it. Like I just went as deep as I could go, and then found a point where I could not go any further. And then it was almost like a child having a tantrum, who's crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, and then goes, this is boring. Like I'm done. Now I'm just going to dry my eyes, and where's my toys? And I'm going to pick up my toy, and it's good. I've got it all out. It's all just out. It's gone. It's done. So it's like I had to take myself to the brink of something, and then go, hold on a second. I don't like, if all of this doom and gloom stuff, if it's all true, then what's my choice here? I'm gonna go out with a bang. Like that's my choice. Okay, how do I go out with a bang? Well, like, and then it was like I started kicking back into gear. Like the generator started going again. It was like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. And you know, despair and doubt and hopelessness, those are, those can be big energies, especially when there are so many pain bodies. There were so many humans that were attached to that vibration. So I think I plugged into something that was so big, like it was so many people generating that energy that it was like, it was just a lot. I'm almost seeing it like tar, like sticky tar. So then helping to go and into that sticky tar and go, even in this level of despair, there is still hope. Like even down in here, I still love humanity. I still love you. I still believe in, like it was, and I feel like I love even more now. And for myself, yeah, it was like it's easy to say all these things when everything is gravy and it's like life is great and it's easy to say, but can you still say these things? Are they still true even in like the pits of your own hell? Like even in, is it still true? And I, through my own suffering, yes, it is still true. Had to find out again for myself something that I already felt like I knew. I already felt like I had known that, and I had not mastered it, but like I felt like I had a really good solid anchoring into that. But this whole worldwide situation, you know, tested that again for myself in every way.
And were you able to, because I know you do a lot of inner work and a lot of energy work with your own body. Were you able to still maintain that when you were ill? And how did that feel? Could you feel the catalyst working in different parts of you?
when I got when I got ill with the actual virus, um it was so bizarre because I felt like, I can generate energy with my hands instantly, even just thinking about healing someone or putting my, like, so, it's just instantly there, like a hot flash. And I remember laying in bed, kind of like going, like trying to generate something. And it was almost like like when you're trying to start your car energy and it goes zzz, and it stops and zzz, I was like trying to jumpstart myself and I couldn't. And I remember just laying there going like, what's going on? I feel like my equipment is malfunctioning. And it would almost be like you're like like it felt like a computer thing. Like my pineal gland was plugged, like a plugged nose. Like it was a very strange thing energetically. And I felt it very multi-dimensionally, which was so strange. I've again the never word, but I have not yet in this lifetime experienced such a strange multi-dimensional illness. Perhaps that happens to people when they have like really incredible fevers, like I'm getting a reference to like malaria or something, but I don't think I really had a very high fever. It wasn't like, it was like maybe 102, 101, something like that. So and for the first 3 days when I had it, I could barely walk. It really affected my nerves.
Yeah.
So, but I had the version of it that was probably like the Ferrari version, like the really badass one. I took that one for a ride. There's definitely more gentle expressions of that. But it really makes sense to me why I wanted to have the full meal deal. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I better like really experience this, just like just like the previous, like the lead up to it. And while I was ill, I found that it brought up a lot of memories. It was almost like a life review. It was very strange. So I'm not sure if you heard that from people, but I had like a life review. I had all of this really Really, really interesting stuff, and did not feel like I could heal myself. But um, I did ask for help. I remember asking, asking, asking Source and all of Source's representatives, like, anyone wants to help me, I'm open. I'm totally okay if someone comes and helps me right now, because I feel like I tried to help myself and I actually need help. And help came in such interesting ways. Someone contacted us when I was in the thick of it and got us some medicine. And because it was me and all my family members, we were all, got us medicine. And then some healers actually, we didn't even ask, but there were some healers that, I won't get into the details of it just for privacy's sake, but there was like a team of people that were working with me and with our family, working through all of the layers to help us. And I say we didn't ask, but I did ask as I laid there. So someone heard the call and there was a lot of support, and it was just really mind-blowing. And there was a lot of interesting intel that I could talk to you about later if you're curious as to what those healers said they saw when they were working on me, which was just really mind-blowing. Again, very multidimensional, very interesting.
Can you expand on the multidimensionality of it? Are you able to put that into words? Did you feel your multidimensionality coming in?
I felt it more than just the physical. I felt it more than just the physical. I also felt it through the astral, which is, I never I keep saying that, and it's something that it's really funny. I haven't ever seen viruses as being astral. So again, this is new to me. And if anybody's watching this and has any information about them being astral or multidimensional, maybe there has always been a maybe there is a multidimensional component to everything.
So it had many layers to it.
Many layers. It seemed like, and because of that, I was able to see differently, even though it was affecting my pineal gland. It's almost because if you think of the human body, we've got many layers. We've got the fascia, we've got the lymphatic system, we've got the nervous system. There's all these different dimensions to our own body. So it makes sense that if it's literally infiltrating all these layers, that's going to have multi-dimensional implications. So I was feeling it in the first door, second door, third door, fourth door, dimension, whatever you want to call it. I was feeling it like that. And that's what was so
that's
surreal.
really interesting, because you would say, oh, it's merely a physical thing.
Yeah, it's just yeah, but
yeah, that's really interesting, and that really resonates.
It's a huge can of worms.
Yeah.
It's a huge can of worms. And it's so interesting too that this one sort of topic can find the divisiveness in the most, in someone who is I'm all about unity, but it will find it's almost like it leads to, if there's anything dogmatic in your being, this will drum it up. And that's what I mean by the obsidian mirror, it's like a poultice, and it will literally pull to the surface all these things for you to go, oh, I didn't realize that I had that dichotomy. Do I want to unify that? Do I want to make peace or amends, or, and just how I took myself to the brink, I could see how it could cause division to a point. But then it's wait a minute, eventually people are going to go, wait a minute, this is not exciting anymore. This is not only is it not thrilling and enjoyable, I don't know if I want to play this game anymore. I don't know if I want to play here anymore. Like I've seen enough. And like, it's just, yeah.
It's like the division is bringing us close together.
Right. Oh, I just have so many goosebumps and so many ahas. And I feel like
It's genius, really.
it is genius. Oh, you just said genius. I pulled these cards, and I haven't, this is the second time I think I've pulled cards in like a really long time, because I just kind of like let go of all my external tools, and I really relied on my like internal tools. But then even that, like I let all that stuff go really quiet so that I could just muck around and then gradually
And
walk
while
myself back.
you're finding that as well, it really feels like whatever
My
people's
lord.
circumstances, that so many of us have been invited to call out, to stop doing everything on our own, to call out to the universe for support.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for different reasons, I've been in that space. It's as well, it's been like, it's too much for me here on my own. You lot, meaning me,
Yeah.
come in. You know, I want to feel you.
So many goosebumps. It's, yeah, in all of this realization of the quantum interconnectedness, and then recognizing that you've never been alone, even though sometimes we kind of go off a bit into isolation to process, like sometimes we'll go internal and do a little bit more work, but even when we're doing that, we're so connected.
Yeah.
Like as I've opened up again, and it's funny because like as soon as I kind of like turned back into, or I almost feel like I shut doors, and then as soon as my doors opened, it was like boom, 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 boom. All the people that I connected to were right there. All the like it was just like I kind of shut myself off from messages to really saturate into a certain frequency that humanity was experiencing. But then as soon as that was done and I opened back up, it was just like I never left.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's just been a minute. I was just gone for a minute. I just had to do that for a minute. 6 months. check out, check in. I'm back. It's me. I'm back. So I picked these cards, and I didn't think that I was going to share them today. I don't know if I have time to go through all of them with you.
I've got all the time in the world. It's how
Okay.
much time you've got.
So these cards are from the Gene Key, the Wisdom Keeper's Inner Guidebook, 64 Faces of Awakening. Beautiful, deep deck of wisdom here. And it's like I haven't touched the Gene Keys in a long time. And I want to read to you the passage, the first one that I saw when I opened the book, because I think it's really funny. So the 24 invention is one of the cards that I pulled. And the 24th gift is truly magical and contains the secret to genius. Genius is far more than lateral thinking. It is the ability to make quantum leaps. So there's a story. Oh, okay. I should probably read this. If I have the 24 in my chart, and so I'll just read this story. So, my wisdom story. I was a sensitive boy with an insatiably curious mind, with a deep love of logic and learning. My parents encouraged me to study everything from math to chemistry to astrophysics. My unusual gifts for predicting patterns and solving problems were discovered by my professors and eventually the world. By the time I was a young adult, many people counted on my mind to answer some of the most difficult questions about our shared future. As the pressure amped up, There was less room for error, for feelings, free time, or for the present moment. Once I was working on a problem and my mind spun round and round. My body got tight and I started to panic. I was frozen. Not knowing how to cope with the awful sense of failure and emptiness I felt, I grabbed a glass of wine, which helped my mind and my body to relax. And mysteriously, the breakthrough I'd been waiting for spontaneously appeared. After that, anytime I couldn't solve a problem or felt anxious, I drank. The bigger the problem, the more I drank. It took a deep depression and several crises for me to recognize my addiction and accept the truth. There was no escape, nowhere to go. Nothing in the outside world could ever end the pain, anxiety, and emptiness I was so desperately trying to avoid. So I turned the intelligence of my mind inward. I used my mind to watch itself, and I got so good at recognizing its patterns and repetitive loops that just naturally they began to loosen their hold. Whenever I bumped up against my ignorance, suffering, or an unknown, instead of pushing against it or numbing out, I dropped in. Now I think in spirals, not loops. I welcome the unknown, rejoice in life's mysteries, and have come to cherish the creative invention and innovation about solving problems. Although my knack for solving problems continues to expand, my most creative moments and breakthrough insights often happen when I'm relaxing, dreaming, or doing nothing at all. I'm constantly surprised by how art, music, philosophy, mythology, psychology relate to all that I do. My gift to you, I'm here to tell you that addiction is not only about what you do, it's how you think. This is so relevant. And especially how you think during those moments in your life where you bump up against the unknown, your own ignorance, a deafening silence, and an inner emptiness. There are whole worlds of possibility in the space between thoughts, sounds, even between your impulses and cravings. One of the most difficult yet rewarding things you can do in life is to embrace those gaps in your awareness. Don't push your anxiety away. Don't fill in those holes. As you make peace with the emptiness, befriend uncertainty, your talent for invention, creative thinking, and living will flourish.
And something that really dropped in as you said it was I dropped in and talking about resistance as well, because I would imagine that a lot of that applies to what you've been sharing, you know, and also can you just drop in to going through what you're going through and stop resisting it? Because that's huge.
Yeah. So on the other, I want to say on the other hand, I pulled the 42, which is funny because it's like 24, 42. It's kind of like a mirror of the lesson on in another perspective. So one was like dropping in an addiction, which is kind of almost like attachment, like that attachment energy deep in. So this was like the polarity of what I experienced. And polarity has been such an incredible teacher in 2021. It felt like ping pong. Like it was really like there's this side, then there's this side, but then there's a polarity to everything. And it's like, where do you sit within that? And where's the polarities within you? And it was like just showing the spectrum of like everything. And this was like, whoa, it's all a dichotomy. I am energy and I'm material. Like how am I both? How am I the particle and the wave? Like which one's more me? Like, and where's the balance? So 42. Non-attachment. And this card kind of reminds me of Franco.
Yeah.
Who's been really strong in the field lately. really available energetically to play. So detachment represents the process of letting go of control over your life, physically, mentally, and emotionally, which is a big part of the experience that I went through, because I wouldn't have chosen to go through that necessarily. And like on some level I did, but I definitely feel like I would have been in resistance to sort of experience that, which I probably was going through it as well, which is maybe why it took so long. So my wisdom story. Known as the eternal optimist, I was always on my way towards something: the fulfilling relationship, the exciting job, the radiant health. I knew once I arrived that perfect life, once I achieved that perfect life, I'd be able to rest and be happy. So I rushed past every milestone, always grasping and expecting, always willing to put off my enjoyment in the now for a better future moment. As I got older, I began to obsess about time. There was so much to do, and I felt like time was running out until it did. During a basic medical checkup, something unexpected was found. I was diagnosed with a deadly illness. Suddenly, my life was spinning out of control. I was terrified, enraged. I have no time for this, I screamed inside, secretly feeling I'd failed at life. My optimism vanished, along with my faith in myself and others. For the next few years, I exhausted all of my savings as well as my loved ones as I leapt from doctor to doctor, from conventional to alternative treatments. Terrified nothing would work, I abandoned each treatment before it had a chance to succeed. My practitioners saw me as flaky, but all I saw was disappointment and the slow death of my dreams. Finally, I became so ill that I was hospitalized. There was no spark left in me until I met my roommate, a child who was dying. Her spirit was so full of joy and wisdom that my heart melted. She called me her buddy and shared about her own impending death with an acceptance, peace that put me to shame. The day she died, my heart literally stopped beating. The doctors tried to revive me while I floated up and out of my body and was drawn into a tunnel of indescribable light, color, and music. I felt a love beyond anything I'd ever known. Then I saw her, my friend from the hospital, skipping through a field of flowers and into my arms. Elated, I scooped her up as she whispered, "It's time to go back, buddy. There's so much to celebrate." The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, feeling calm and full of gratitude despite the pain. That was many years ago when I first became known as a medical miracle. Now, when people look into my eyes, they feel my trust in life. I'm not afraid, not for myself or for them. I've made peace with death. Now I am free to live, to love, and appreciate each moment for the precious gift that it is. My gift to you, I bring you the gift of non-attachment. I'm here to remind you that everything in life must come to an end so that something new can be born. It is time to surrender your life and accept your death. This does not mean you stop desiring, caring, or feeling. In fact, I want you to feel and breathe even more intensely than you ever have. Nor does this mean you can't hold expectations. Just hold them lightly, without attachment. Trust in the intelligence of your life, with its ebbs and flows, joys and pains. Even the most sorrowful states can be enjoyed if you can let your attachments fall away. Remember, you are an unfolding tale, its author and reader all at once. Never miss an opportunity to celebrate your magnificent self and life.
Wow.
Whew.
Wow, that's unbelievable how pertinent both those cards are to the whole conversation. And as you say, they're kind of like not quite
Bookends.
diametrically opposed, but they are
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
And the third card um, is number 21, which says authority. I just need to quickly check this. I keep getting this vision and I keep trying to draw it, draw what I see. This is going to be funny, me trying to show you this. But You can see these three people.
Just bring it a little bit closer. Yeah. And then move it away again and move it slightly to either to your left or your right. Yeah, got it.
So I keep drawing this everywhere. And it's the past reaching forward and the future reaching backwards and the present moment reaching in both directions.
Wow.
And then correcting that and opening the future up in both directions and the past up in both directions. It's like all now moments, all reaching. So it's not a loop anymore. It's opening up, and it's continually like there's like this. It's the torus. It's the continual reaching back to pull up and reaching forward, and it's rowing. And it was like rowing, showing me like this rowing. So I keep seeing this rowing, and like the pull forward, or sorry, the reach forward, the pull back on the water and then the propelling forward, and then like this just this constant rowing. And then it was kind of showing me the merge between the third and the fourth and the fifth dimension, how they're like this propulsion. There's this propulsion mechanism between them, and it's like it depends where your reference point is. If the wave's hitting you, or if the wave's going through you, or if the wave's at your back, and now it looks as though you're directing the current. And from that place, you can direct the current, or depending where you are, you're bracing from the current, or you're experiencing the current as it's moving through you, which haven't quite unpacked that one yet. And I don't quite understand how that's the fourth dimension, but that's just what I kept getting. And somehow that's related to the card I'm just going to share, the 21. So I just wanted to quickly open that in the keys. Yes. And it's so funny because my friend Alicia, who I haven't talked to during this whole period, said to me, I know what you were going through. You were going through the 21, which has to do with valor. And I was like, what? Because I hadn't touched the keys in a long time, but it's the shadow of control, moving from control to the gift of authority, to the gift of, to the city of valor. And it's deeply connected with the 48th gene key, which is the feminine well. It's like the well that never ends, which I feel like I was also connecting to this deep well and this total nothingness, but the wisdom of the void, and being able to pull from this, like the void, whatever I needed, wherever I found myself. And it's completely about the one on the top serves the bottom serves the top, but the top is like a total service provider for all underneath. And you could flip them because they're so integral. And that's about the reaching back and the reaching forward and the present and receiving from all angles. And so it feels like a rebalancing of that, a redistribution of importance and what's essential and true value and true wealth and the true exchange of energy. And where is that pinched, and where is that being siphoned and not properly conducted, and conducted is like the conductor and the conduction and the movement of energy and the inner working network and the system that we all are. And then all of the systems that we feed that then in turn support us. And who do those systems work for? We work for the system, and the system works for us. And then it's bountiful. So it's kind of like right now we're really experiencing where the chinks in our chains are in the blockchain.
And conductor with the wand, creating the magic.
So this is such a beautiful card. When my son saw this card, he grabbed the face, or he grabbed it and looked at it and gasped. And he was like, I know this face. This is a special card. was really funny. I feel
Oh,
like in these cards, they've fashioned these cards after some masters. Like this one reminds me of Jesus.
yeah.
Um, and I think this one looks like Einstein, the invention. I feel like they, like they've captured the spirit, the essence of these people. Oh, and I just noticed in the third eye is the Taurus, is the tree of life, is the canopy feeding back into the root system, which goes up through the center.
Of course.
Beautiful. So the little clip or the little blurb on the top says, ultimately, the only ones who will be given positions of control will be those who have given up being in control. So I'll read this. I haven't read this card. I only read the little top. So as I'm reading them, I'm like, oh, realizing just like how much more depth and relevancy they have. So I was a trust fund baby. While my dad disappeared behind closed doors with business moguls and ruled the world, my mother ruled the household with her perfectly manicured nails and social graces. As they raised me, they were controlling and critical, and I was submissive. I cringed at the way they treated our servants, whom I suspected secretly despised my parents as much as I did. The moment I got my driver's license, I grabbed some cash and bolted, leaving my parents and my trust fund in the dust. I had no plan, no college education. All I cared about was being free of their stuffy, oppressive world. So I worked odd jobs, went with the flow, and reveled in the fact I no longer represented the imperious elite. But when my financial cushion ran out, so did my sense of adventure. Too humiliated to beg my parents to take me back, I lived in my car behind our house, eating the food that was thrown away. One of the servants found me there and insisted on taking me in. Her family had almost nothing, but gave me everything. I was grateful and humbled. I realized how bitter and selfish I'd become, how deeply I resented my parents for their narrowness and selfishness, at society for ignoring the needy, and more importantly, at myself for being too weak and pathetic to help myself, much less anyone else. I'd become as obsessed about money as my father and as disconnected from the real world as my mother. If I truly wanted my life to be useful, I'd have to take responsibility for it. From that point on, my heart took over. I had become driven by a deep desire to give back to this family and to serve those in need. I got my act together, re-engaged with the world, and eventually reconciled with my parents. Instead of rejecting their resources, I inspired them to recognize the humanity of the people who worked for them. My parents are now the biggest financial supporters of my efforts to give homes to the homeless, bring gardens to food deserts, and represent people whose voices have not been heard. The more my heart opens, the more loyalty I inspire in the most unlikely places. My gift to you, I come to share that true power has nothing to do with money or control. True power is about speaking and acting from the heart and grounding all that you do in a deep desire to serve. Becoming the true authority in your own life requires both that you surrender and that you rise up to meet whatever life brings your way. With enthusiasm, gratitude, and a deep sense of responsibility, you will know that you are owning your authority when you inspire loyalty and connectivity wherever you go. When everyone you represent, no matter what role they play, feels empowered, impassioned, and respected, it is time to listen deeply to the will of the groups in your life and act sincerely on their behalf. It is time to become the trustworthy person I know you can become.
Wow.
Oh,
Oof.
it's a lot. That's a lot of wisdom and goodness right there.
What are they called again, those cards?
These are the Wisdom Keeper's Inner Guidebook, 64 Faces of Awakening. They are so beautiful.
Mm.
So it says Rosie Aronson, PhD. She's an inspirational artist, author, and counselor. I still really appreciate, and I not still, like I always will appreciate like cards, tarot cards and books, like there's a time and a place for all of those things. There's a time and a place for your own silence to really hear your own voice. And if you feel like you can't hear it anymore, sometimes it's good to put those things away so that you can get in touch with that sound again, because I feel like we all have our own sound and style and way. So I felt like my little time away from all of these tools that I can use was nice to hear my own voice again, or my own inner sound. And it just feels like such a treat again to then pick them back up. It's like, whoa, now I appreciate you even more. And how someone will be like, pick a card for me or something, and then also saying like, you can pick a card for yourself. Like, you are each one of us is a powerful conduit, and you're the reference point of your source engagement, your own creation point. So it's like, trust the one that you get, though. Like sometimes, oh, you pick another one, that's fine too, but it's like, trust the message that you get. Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want that message, but it's like, that's been a really big thing for me. It's like the first, like, trust the ones that you get are the one, like, if it fell this way, like, that's it. Like, I allow that one to be meant. And that trust, building that trust with myself and my own feedback system from where I'm sitting in the universe has really helped make me a clear channel for life.
To serve, as that last card said.
Oh, the saying, you get what you get and you don't get upset. It's funny, my son used to say that to us. You get what you get and you don't get upset. It's kind of just like, we're always being given things constantly. And like, even that crazy experience that I had is like the hugest gift. There's so much experiential knowledge and wisdom that will come, and empathy and all of these things, if you accept what you get, and you're like, and you trust your universe, you trust your life, and you're like, I know I'm here, so there must be a reason, even if it's for me to walk through it and leave it behind me. That could, we don't always have to get all crazy in our head and digest and analyze, become all analytical about every detail. Sometimes it's even just resting in the silence and the space of where we are, and allowing, I think it was the 24 that was like, allowing the gaps between, appreciating those gaps in between.
And I think the gifts are multi-leveled.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of that doesn't come until further down the line.
Yeah. It's truly, truly incredible how life organizes itself, how it's organized. And if you are open and you can see, like, the magic is everywhere in every space and place. The universe is teeming with energy and potentials, and constantly is connecting and making peace and making sense and fortifying itself. And it's just these never ending roots, the root system in the space between everything.
Was there a passage in the Gene Keys that you said you wanted to share when you first opened it up?
Yeah. So the first thing I read, and I'm just seeing the word addiction again, which connects to that 24 card again. But it's finally, the 12th shadow of vanity comes at the end of your evolution. It is the last great trial, and tests the depth of your surrender to the ultimate. In this trial, you must give up everything you have attained in all your countless journeys, and in doing so, you will attain final transcendence. For like, that just resonated so much about just giving up everything you have attained, giving up everything that you think you've attained. And it doesn't have to be a physical act. For myself, it could be, I've put so much energy in creating an image of who I am spiritually, like I'm this whoever, whatever. And I can't fall. I can't have a moment of ungracefulness. I had to just let it go and let it be messy and let it be how it was going to be, and land and express how I'm going to, it was just like, it really spoke to me about that period that I went through.
And multiple deaths. That's what I hear many people who've gone through that same process, like multiple deaths.
Oh,
whether
yeah.
or not it's coming to the brink, in the physical, but just letting go of so much, like so many, perhaps not even death of the ego, but just, as you say there, death of who you think you are, like just letting everything.
Into the next layer, And whenever you move up, there's going to be another process. It's an ever expansive processing system of constant evolution. And then, yes, within that, there will always be a stillness point where you can access that stillness within the motion. And the word dichotomy has just been coming up over and over and over again as the greatest teaching. Yeah. And I just feel like there's been a real shattering of so many concepts that I had felt sneakily that were complete. Like, I had felt, there wasn't any room for that to be improved upon. And like, a lot of that stuff that I held was shattered when I had my experience, and more room has been made. And I was like, okay.
And I put the word in the description for today, made up the word phoenixization. But I can really,
oh yes,
I can really feel that in your energy. I can't say to you, I feel this is different in your energy, and that, like, I can't name it, but I can feel it. I can feel and I'm getting the word that I was kind of given for this year, which was, I first got the word renewal, and then it was like, no, that's not quite right. It's not renewal, it's anew. It's like coming out afresh, completely anew. Not even reborn, because that kind of suggests you're like the same, but it's like anew.
I felt like we were exchanging like the words, before you were saying them. They were just like right there. And the phoenixing, like, it just tickles me that you would put that in the write-up. It's been something that I've experienced, that I try to remind myself, like, don't burn the whole bridge down in your phoenixing process. Because sometimes I'll be like, it doesn't resonate anymore. I'm going to delete it all. I'm throwing all my clothes out. Like, I'm going to, like, it's just like, I go through these periods where it's like this massive shedding, which is funny because I'm shedding so much hair right now. But whatever survives the phoenixing, I trust that it is, it's coming with me. Then it survived the fire of the of the process, and rightfully so. But it was a good experience to let everything go. And I feel even more comfortable not planning anything because of what I just experienced. Like the right piece of information will show up right when it's meant to. Like it's just somehow everything is on time in a way, more so than I had experienced it before. And I've, so
If you
fun.
could put into words, if you're able to, what would be the biggest gift from this?
The first word, like it was acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance, such deep, 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 deep acceptance.
Amazing. Oh, I'm seeing 1s and 4s everywhere on my screen.
Mm.
4, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Mm.
Anything you would like to end on?
When you said that, it just reminded me how intimately the end is connected to the beginning.
Just getting that snake with the tail in the mouth.
Ah. That feels complete.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in space with you again. It's not even again, it's like being in space with a new.
That's so cool. I knew you.
And it was
I'm just
like
gonna
the word was annual, but not annual, as in once a year,
annual.
but annual, like renewal, but with a.
I love that so much. Because we're creating new words, right? And words create worlds. So we're literally creating new language and new spaces for us to move into. And there seems to be like this ramping up of our processing ability. Like I felt like there was like that bottleneck, but now it feels like something has broken through that bottleneck and we are like moving again and it's like flowing again.
Yeah, the cork is out, isn't it? It's like
Feels like it.
Yeah. And you look and feel amazing. Say that.
Oh, you as well, my sister. Such a pleasure.
And thank you also to everyone who's been with us, either here and now in this now moment, or in the live, or on the replay, or on YouTube. The words have just all gone.
Yep, we're in the mush territory now.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, everybody. And if you want more of this, if you want to check out my YouTube, it's In Peace with Denise, and there's lots more of these and other stuff. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the live before we mush out even more. Love, love, love.